FIANCÉE got back with EX during wedding plans. My fiancée Lily, 27 years old, and I, 29 years old, have been together for 3 years. She's smart, funny, and has this way of making you feel like you're the only person in the room. I proposed to her last year, and we started planning a summer wedding. Everything was going wonderfully, or at least that's what I thought. One day, Lily tells me she's going to her hometown to spend time with her sister. Now, Lily is very close to her family and hadn't been back in a long time, so it didn't seem strange. She packed a suitcase, gave me a kiss, and told me she'd be back in a couple of weeks. At first, I didn't think much of it. We were still texting each other from time to time, and she called me the first night to let me know she had arrived safely. However, next day, things started to feel weird. She called me in the afternoon and said something like, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something." I said, "Sure, what's going on?" That's when she drops this, "I think I need some time to think." I was trying to process it, so I asked, "Think about what? Is it about the wedding? Are you feeling stressed? Did I do something wrong?" She doesn't really answer. She just says, "I feel like I need some time for myself." I didn't want to pressure her too much, so I said, "Okay, if you need space, I understand. Just let me know what's going on. I hope we'll talk soon." But everything felt off. The conversation ended strangely, and I sat there thinking, what the heck just happened? After that, communication practically stopped. I sent her some text messages, just normal stuff like, "Hey, how are you doing?" or "Hope you're having a good day," but she never responded. I tried calling her, but she didn't answer. She even stopped posting on social media, which was weird because normally she's the type who shares everything, from her morning coffee to random sunset photos. I reached out to her sister, thinking maybe she could clarify what was happening. Her sister responded with a brief text message, "I haven't seen her much. Sorry," which didn't help at all. It felt like everyone was excluding me. That's when I started questioning everything. Was she really staying with her sister? Was something else going on? Was there someone else? I hated thinking that way, but the lack of answers was driving me crazy. I spent so many nights staring at my phone, waiting for a text or a missed call that never came. Each day that passed felt heavier than the last. I tried to distract myself with work and friends, but nothing worked. It felt like my entire world was on pause. After a couple of weeks of silence from Lily, I decided enough was enough. I mean, how much space does one person need? If she wasn't going to tell me what was happening, I was going to find out myself. I packed an overnight bag, filled up my car's gas tank, and drove to her hometown. It wasn't a quick trip, but I had plenty of time to mentally prepare for whatever uncomfortable or unpleasant conversation awaited me. I kept telling myself, maybe she's just stressed. Maybe it's not that bad. But deep down, I had a feeling things were about to get weird. When I arrived at her parents' house, where I assumed she was staying, my heart was pounding. I knocked on the door, and for a second, I thought no one was home. Then Lily opened it. The expression on her face said it all. She wasn't expecting me. She stood there for a moment, staring at me like I was a pop quiz she hadn't studied for. Finally, she stepped aside and let me in, mumbling something about how she didn't think I'd come. We sat in the living room, and everything felt off. It wasn't the usual comfort I felt with Lily, where we could just sit on the couch and talk about anything. She started with small talk. "How was your trip? Was there a lot of traffic? Do you want something to drink?" Like she was trying too hard to sound normal. At first, I played along, answering her questions with short, dry responses. But my patience was running out. I hadn't come all this way to talk about road conditions. There was a long, awkward pause where neither of us spoke. She went blank, and when she finally looked up, I asked, "Lily, what's going on? Why haven't you been answering my calls or texts?" Her reaction was immediate. "I've been trying to work through some things," she finally said, in a soft voice, almost too low to hear. "Work through what?" I was trying to stay calm. She hesitated. I wasn't sure how to say what I needed to. The silence dragged on, and I could feel my heartbeat getting louder in my ears. Then, finally, she said it. "Hi, I ran into my ex when I got here. I felt like the floor had moved beneath me." I stared at her, trying to process what she'd just said, and I asked, keeping my voice as steady as I could, though I could already feel the storm brewing inside me. It wasn't planned," she said. "I saw him at the supermarket, and we ended up talking. That word hit me like a slap in the face. It wasn't the fact that she'd seen her ex. That could happen to anyone. It was the way she said it, like it was no big deal. But clearly, it was a big deal, or we wouldn't be having this conversation." Hey, if you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. And drop a comment below. Do you think she can be forgiven, or is this relationship over? Let's hear your thoughts. I leaned forward, trying to maintain my composure. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" I asked. Her eyes shifted to the side, avoiding mine. "I didn't want to bother you until I knew how I felt." "How you felt?" I repeated, raising my voice a little. "We're engaged, Lily. We're planning a wedding." "What do you mean, how you felt?" That's when she said, I've been spending time with him." She admitted it in a barely audible voice. I just needed to see if there were unresolved feelings. For a moment, I couldn't even speak. My mind was spinning, trying to comprehend what what she'd just said. Unresolved feelings. I finally managed. We're supposed to get married, and you're here playing emotional hopscotch with your ex? I just needed to know for sure, she said. I didn't want to enter our marriage with any doubts. I felt my chest tighten, my hands clenching into fists. So you've been ignoring me all this time because of him? I couldn't stay quiet. Why didn't you tell me before? Why didn't you talk to me about this instead of ignoring me? She started to respond, but I wasn't finished. What does this mean for us, Lily? Are you still trying to figure it out? Because I'm not going to sit around waiting for you to decide if I'm plan A or plan B. Her face crumpled, and for a split second, I thought she might cry. But instead, she said, I didn't want to hurt you. I needed time to sort out my emotions. Do you hear yourself right now? I responded. Leaving me in the dark for weeks was way worse than just being honest from the start. The conversation went in circles after that. Every time I tried to get a straight answer, she'd dodge it, giving me vague excuses about needing clarity and not wanting to make a mistake. I could feel my energy draining with each passing minute. Finally, I'd had enough. Completely and utterly done. I stood up, looked at her one last time, and said, I need some time to think. Exactly like what you said, and the way I said it. Her eyes widened as if she didn't expect me to say that. But I didn't wait for a response. I grabbed my keys and left. The drive back home after that conversation was one of the longest, most surreal trips of my life. I wasn't angry, at least not the kind that yells and breaks things, but I was hurt, really hurt. I kept going over everything Lily said, trying to make sense of it. Unresolved feelings. What did that even mean? Why couldn't she just talk to me about it instead of ignoring me and disappearing for weeks? The following days were a blur. I went to work, but I wasn't really there, you know? My coworkers asked if I was okay, and I gave the usual excuse. Yeah, just tired. My friends also reached out, but I didn't have the energy to explain the whole mess. I finally told a couple of close friends what happened. Their reactions were a mix of shock and outrage. My friend Mark said, dude, that's horrible. She should have told you the moment this guy showed up. My other friend Janine was more direct. If she's considering her ex while engaged to you, she doesn't deserve you. Hearing it from other people made me realize how bad the situation was, but it also made me feel like an idiot. How did I not see this coming? Were there signs I overlooked? Update 1. A week later, I got a text from Lily. It wasn't an apology or an explanation, just a casual, hey, how are you? Like everything was fine. I didn't respond. I couldn't. What was I supposed to say? Oh, hi. I'm great. Thanks for ignoring me while you were with your ex. The silence between us grew louder. Each day that passed, I felt more distant from her, more certain that what we had was crumbling. I started wondering if I even wanted to save it. Could I forgive her? Could I ever trust her again? At the same time, I felt stuck. We'd built a life together, or at least we were supposed to. Breaking up wasn't just about ending a relationship. It meant undoing everything we'd planned and starting from scratch. The idea of that was terrifying, but the alternative was pretending everything was okay when it clearly wasn't. And that wasn't an option. I started thinking about what I wanted, what I deserved. I realized I couldn't stay with someone who didn't respect me enough to be honest. I couldn't marry someone who thought it was okay to put me on hold while they sorted out their feelings for someone else. By the end of that week, I'd made a decision. If Lily wanted to fix things, she'd have to do a lot more than send me a half-hearted text. And even then, I wasn't sure I could look at her the same way again. I didn't reach out to her, and she didn't reach out to me after that text. The silence felt like an unspoken agreement that we were done. And honestly, as much as it hurt, it also felt like a relief. So I was starting to get used to the silence. It wasn't fun, but at least it gave me some time to think. I'd made peace with the fact that Lily wasn't coming back, and honestly, I was starting to move on. I wasn't rushing into anything or trying to distract myself, just trying to rebuild some normalcy. Then, like clockwork, she came back. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was halfway through rewatching a series I didn't even like that much, just something to keep my mind busy. There was a knock on the door, and I thought it was a delivery or maybe Mark coming to drag me out of the house. But no, it was Lily. She was standing there like nothing had happened, smiling like she was bringing cookies to a neighbor. Hi, she said casually, as if she hadn't ignored me for weeks. I stood there, trying to figure out if I was hallucinating. Hi, I finally said, stepping aside so she could come in. She walked in like she owned the place, commenting on how clean everything was. She sat on the couch, patted the cushion next to her, and said, we need to talk. I was bracing myself for some kind of sincere apology, an explanation, something. But instead, she started talking about our wedding plans. Our venue still has our date, she said, as if we'd been in constant communication this whole time. And I was thinking we should use ribbon for the table decorations. That vintage look, don't you think? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I interrupted her mid-sentence and said, Lily, what are you doing here? She blinked, confused, as if I'd just asked her why the sky was blue. I'm here to fix things, she said naturally. I stared at her for a second, then laughed, sharp and cold, the kind of laugh that says, you're kidding me right now. Fix things, I repeated, standing up and pacing, because staying still felt impossible. And you expect me to just believe that? What? Welcome you back with open arms like none of this happened. Do you realize how crazy that sounds? She blinked, clearly not expecting the anger in my voice. I needed time. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me? I said, Lily, you ignored me for weeks. You didn't think to tell me anything, not a single thing, until I had to drive to your hometown to find out. And now you're standing here acting like it's no big deal. It's not like that, she responded. I was confused. I didn't know what I felt, and I didn't want to make things worse. this. I interrupted again, raising my hands. You made things worse by disappearing. You left me hanging, wondering what the heck had happened while you were rekindling whatever with your ex. Do you even realize what you did to me? She opened her mouth to respond, but I didn't give her the chance. No, you don't realize. Because if you did, you wouldn't be here right now expecting me to just forget everything and pick up where we left off. She looked more hurt now, but I wasn't backing down. Not this time. I made a mistake, she said softly, trying to play the victim. I know I messed up, but I'm here now, and I want to fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. I repeated, laughing bitterly. You say that like it's supposed to mean something. But the truth is, Lily, I don't trust you anymore. How am I supposed to believe you won't do this again the next time you're confused or need to sort out your emotions? She looked down at her hands, playing with her engagement ring. My ring. I felt a flash of anger seeing it still on her finger, like she had any right to wear it after all this. Take it off, I said sharply. She looked up, surprised. What? The ring, I said, pointing at her hand. Take it off. You can't keep it. Not after this. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, it seemed like she might argue. But then, slowly, she slid the ring off her finger and placed it on the table between us. She stood there for a moment, looking at me as if waiting for me to change my mind, to say something that would make everything okay. But I didn't. I just stared at her, my face serious, my decision final. Is this really the end? She asked. Are you just done? Yes, I said firmly. I'm done. I'm not an option, Lily. You can't put me on pause while you figure out your feelings and then come back when it's convenient for you. That's not love. That's selfishness. Her lips trembled like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. Instead, she turned and walked toward the door. That night, I sat on the couch, staring at the ring on the table. It felt surreal, like the last few weeks had been some twisted dream I couldn't wake up from. But as I sat there, one thing became very clear. I made the right decision. I wasn't going to let myself become someone's second choice, or plan B when things didn't work out with someone else. I deserved better than that. And finally, I was ready to stand up for myself. Lily was gone, and honestly, I was okay with that. And that's how things unfolded. Until now. If anything worth posting comes up, I'll keep you updated. Update 2. Hello everyone. Thanks for your comments. It means a lot. I came to give you an update since things changed in an unexpected way. So here goes. Well, after Lily's surprise visit, I was in this strange limbo. I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I also didn't have the energy to confront her again. It was like I was trapped in emotional quicksand. I didn't know what to do, so I did what any man would do. I avoided the situation completely and kept to myself. Then, out of nowhere, I get a text from Mia, one of Lily's friends. Now, Mia and I had always been friends, but we'd never really talked one-on-one. Her text said something like, "Hey, just wanted to check how you're doing. I heard about the breakup and wanted to see how you're holding up." At first, I wasn't sure how to respond. Was this some kind of trap? But after staring at the message for an embarrassing amount of time, I decided to just reply, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm okay, I guess." It was surprisingly easy to talk to Mia. She said she'd been in a similar situation before and knew how awful it was. We ended up texting back and forth for a while, and honestly, it was nice to have someone to vent to. She wasn't pushy or judgmental, just a good listener. A couple of days later, Mia texted me again, this time suggesting we meet up for coffee. I really wasn't in the mood to go out, but she was persistent. "Come on, it'll do you good to get out of the house," she said. And before I knew it, I found myself agreeing. When we met up, it felt normal. Not romantic, not flirty, just two people talking. She asked about work, hobbies, even my old college stories. For the first time in weeks, I felt like someone actually cared. Not about the drama or the wedding or any of that, just me. But then she said, "You know, you deserve someone who appreciates you, someone who doesn't take you for granted." I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just said, "Yeah, I guess." The thing is, I wasn't interested in Mia that way. She was nice and all, but I was still dealing with the mess Lily had left behind. I wasn't ready to start anything, and I didn't want to give her the wrong idea. But Mia didn't give up. She started texting me more frequently, sending me memes, asking if I wanted to hang out again. It wasn't overbearing, but it was clear she was trying to make something happen. I kept my responses polite but distant, hoping she'd get the hint. Then one night, Mia asked if I wanted to have dinner. I tried to politely decline, but she wouldn't take no for an answer. "It's just dinner," she said. "Don't overthink it." So I went, and let me tell you, it was awkward. She dressed up like it was a date, while I showed up in a hoodie and jeans. The conversation was fine, but there was an underlying tension I couldn't ignore. It was like she was testing the waters, seeing how far she could go. When I got home, I told myself that was it. No more outings with Mia, at least not alone. I didn't want to lead her on, and I definitely didn't want to complicate things more than they already were. But then, somehow Lily found out. I don't know if Mia told her, if one of their mutual friends couldn't keep their mouth shut, or if Lily just has a sixth sense for sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. Either way, the next day, there she was, banging on my door like the place was on fire. So Lily showed up at my door. No text, no warning, just pounding on the door like it was an emergency. I opened it, and there she was, ready to go. "What the heck are you doing?" she demanded, pushing past me into the living room. I closed the door, already fed up. "Nice to see you too, Lily. What do you want?" She spun around, glaring. "You've been going out with Mia?" "My friend." I crossed my arms, keeping my tone calm but firm. "I'm sorry, but what exactly makes you think you have the right to ask me about what I'm doing?" "What makes me think?" she said. "Are you kidding? She's my friend. This is humiliating." I let out a short laugh, shaking my head. "Humiliating? Lily, we're done. You can't come here and play the victim. You made your choice when you left. So what I do now know is none of your business. Her face twisted like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. So that's it. You're just moving on. I shrugged. What did you think would happen? That I'd just sit here waiting for you to decide if I'm good enough? I came back because I realized I still love you, she shouted. Too late, I said bluntly. Honestly, Lily, maybe you should go back to your ex. Seems like you're good at going back to old options. Her face turned red in an instant. Her jaw tensed like she was trying to control herself. Are you serious right now? Yeah, I'm serious, I replied. You clearly didn't think twice before running to him. Why stop now? It might make things easier for everyone. She practically exploded. You have no right to stand there and act like you're better than me. If you think I'm going to let this slide, you're wrong. Let what slide? I said, that I've moved on, that I'm over you. That's not my problem anymore, Lily. She stared at me. You'll regret this, she said, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. Don't think I won't make you regret this. I simply opened the door wide and gestured. Go ahead, Lily. Make whatever threats you want, but you're not my problem anymore. She stared at me for a moment and stormed out furiously. I locked the door behind her, shook my head, and finally let out a sigh. Whatever her next move was, I didn't care. I was done, and that wasn't going to change. Update 3. Alright, guys. I came with a final update just to let you know how everything's unfolding. So after Lily stormed out, the silence felt different this time. Not heavy, not tense, just peaceful. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to justify myself to her or anyone else. It was over, and I was okay with that. A couple of days later, Mia texted me asking if I wanted to have lunch. I hesitated. Mia had been a good listener when everything with Lily fell apart, but I was starting to feel like she might see this as something more than it was. I didn't want to send mixed signals or complicate things. Still, I thought lunch wouldn't hurt, especially if I used it as an opportunity to clear things up. When we met, the atmosphere was casual. We talked about random things, but there was an underlying energy that made me uncomfortable. She laughed too hard at my jokes, leaned in too close, and looked at me like she was waiting for me to make a move. Halfway through, I decided it was time to rip off the band-aid. Mia, look, I really appreciate you being there for me lately. It's been a lot, and I'm grateful. But I want to be clear, I'm not looking for anything beyond friendship. Her face fell for a second, but she recovered quickly. Oh, yeah, of course, she said, brushing it off like it was no big deal. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I smiled, relieved she'd taken it well. Thanks. I just wanted there to be no confusion. After lunch, we parted ways, and I thought that was that. But as I was walking back to my car, something caught my eye. It was Lily. She was standing half a block away, leaning against a lamppost, pretending to look at her phone. I'd recognize her posture anywhere. She wasn't there by chance. She was watching. I froze for a second, debating whether to say something. But what was the point? She'd deny it, and it would just turn into another argument. Instead, I got in my car and drove off, pretending I hadn't seen her. Over the next week, I started seeing her more often. She wasn't obvious about it, but she wasn't exactly subtle either. Her car was parked on my street when I got home from work, or I'd see her at the supermarket, hiding in another aisle when she thought I'd noticed her. It was weird. She didn't reach out or make a scene, just lurked around like she was waiting for me to do something. One night, I went out to grab takeout. As I was pulling into the restaurant parking lot, I saw her car again, parked far enough away not to seem suspicious if I didn't already know. I didn't confront her. I just went in, picked up my food, and left. But when I got home and saw her car still parked on the street, I'd had enough. I didn't go toward her, though. Instead, I went straight into my house, locked the door, and pulled out my phone. I texted her, Lily, I've seen you around. Stop following me. This isn't healthy, and it's not going to change anything. No response. Honestly, I didn't expect one. But the next day, her car was gone.